You're watching the three-time NCMPR Medallion Award-winning Studio Bergen.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Larry Hlavenka and welcome to Studio Bergen. Now you haven't seen us for a little while. We've sort of been on hiatus because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but we have a very special episode here today. Bergen Community College has a new president, its 8th president, and his name is Dr. Eric M. Friedman, and he joins us today in a very empty but very exciting Pitkin Education Center as we are looking at our new one-stop facility that is under construction. We'll get to that in a little bit, but first let's welcome the 8th president of Bergen Community College, Dr. Eric M. Friedman. Welcome, Dr. Friedman.
Thank you, Larry. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we're very excited. I mean, it's institutional renewal in a strange time, right, during COVID-19. Has it been a busy first month for you on the job?
That's a really good word. Very busy, but busy in a very good way. I've been meeting so many people. I've been doing walking tours, driving tours, getting to know the staff. I've met with a lot of student groups, which is really inspirational. And, it's just these first months, I expect this level of activity. And, we're in a pandemic too. So, there's so many other things to consider right now and so many ways in which we're trying to plan for the future. So, yes, busy is a good word.
And, I'll say that it is a pandemic, obviously, as we all know. We have been masked. All of our staff is masked right now. We were checked before we came in this morning. We are all good to go, so that's why you don't see masks on us. Don't want anybody to think that we're breaking protocol there. Before we get into Bergen Community College, let's talk a little bit about Dr. Friedman, and your background and where you've come from, where you've been, and what brought you to the state's largest community college.
Sure. I've been working about 20 miles away for over 13 years at Hudson County Community College. Mm-hmm. I started there as a dean of community education. So I was working a lot with workforce development partners and building pathways for students, for community members to move into a variety of programs at the college and move up at their jobs, gain the skills and education that they needed, whether they were matriculated into a credit program or not. After becoming dean, I moved into a vice presidency and then became executive vice president and provost. I was the chief operating officer. I was the accreditation liaison officer, and I was really co-presidenting with the president at Hudson. My background working at comprehensive community colleges and associate's degree granting colleges is really important because I've worked on everything from, building partnerships with high schools and universities and industry partners to curriculum development, to professional development and human resource programs, institutional effectiveness. Mm-hmm. The list goes on and on. What's important about my background too, I had an early career.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, even beyond academia, where it's sort of a non-traditional and traditional background for someone at the same time. So talk about that. I think people are really going to be interested about that.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, my early career in hospitality management. There's no better place to learn a sense of urgency than working in restaurants and hospitality.
Out of the fire and into the frying pan, something like that.
There's lots of fires, there's lots of heat, and there's just the urgency of people are going to come through the door. Mm-hmm. You've got to be ready. There's no, we'll do some of this later. Besides urgency, though, teamwork. Uh-huh. If you've ever been in a commercial kitchen, it's almost palpable the amount of teamwork that's going on. Mm. And so to be a leader in those environments, you've really got to have team building and teamwork skills. It's so important. Also, you asked about my background, and academically, I'm an interdisciplinary thinker, and Bergen has so many programs that are strong in so many different areas. So, I love the humanities and social sciences, but I am a really strong supporter of career and technical ed, STEM programs, health professions. So, really interdisciplinary in my approach, and my academic background sort of reflects that.
So, I mean, you have to ask the question then, you know, with the career that you had at Hudson and the careers that you've had in the business world, dare I say you were beloved at Hudson, very popular administrator and college official, a co-president, you said yourself. Why make the move to Bergen then?
So, you know, Larry, that's a really deep question. And I wake up every morning knowing that I can make a difference. And I have this little, I want to take something, I have this thing in my wallet that I carry around. And it's a little quote, and it's from Barack Obama. And he wrote, "It's only when you hitch your wagon to something larger than yourself that you realize your true potential." And I don't want to call Bergen Community College a wagon, but you know the metaphor there. That's it in a nutshell. You know, I'm really here to make a difference, to help and support you and everybody that's working at the college to best serve our community members. That's it in a nutshell.
So now that you're here at Bergen, and we've heard you message out very frequently in your first few weeks here that you don't want to hit the ground running, you want to hit the ground listening.
Yep.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so it's a little twist on what you usually hear in that phrase. I'm in a listening tour right now. The first 60 to 90 days, I am listening to students. I am listening to, yesterday I was on the phone with the superintendent of the technical high schools. I am listening to people who are connected to, who are attending this college, who are working for the college. I'm listening for, you know, what they think is exceptional about Bergen Community College, and there are so many, many things that are exceptional, but also the challenges and the opportunities. We have a lot of opportunities. You know, each year brings changes in all of the industries that we're connected to. The world is changing rapidly, socially, economically, politically. We want to be, you know, we want to be keeping our programs relevant and current. And I need to be listening and listening deeply to really hear people's concerns and to be able to shape my priorities based on what I hear.
What are some of the things that you are hearing? What are people saying? I mean, there's just so much anxiety, frustration, disappointment, sadness during this time of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. Is that coming through in the listening? Is that what you're hearing?
Some of that's coming through, but it's coming through in a pretty textured way that people are working really, really deliberately on how to improve virtual teaching, on how to look at their courses and see if some of those should become fully online courses because everybody's learning virtually right now. But it's coming through also in looking at the future and thinking collectively about what's the future going to look like at this community college, at other colleges, at our transfer partner colleges, and thinking about, you know, can we make our classrooms more high tech? You know, can we co-craft more of our curriculum with business and industry? You know, it's leading us, it's prompting us to a lot of changes in how we're operating and thinking about the future.
So when you listen and you hear all of these things that faculty, staff, students, the community are saying, what comes next?
So, you know, what's going to happen, and I know I'm working with you and your office on scheduling, I'm going to have a town hall. And in that town hall, I'm going to communicate about many of the things that I've heard. And, you know, it's the good and some of it's not so good. I'm hearing all kinds of things. Yesterday with a student group, they asked me, you know, how will I better serve or have the college better serve international students, for example? And the list goes on with questions about services. So town hall is one example. I will communicate with the board about what I've heard. I'll begin to shape presidential priorities and communicate transparently about what I've heard and how I see that inflecting the work that we have ahead.
Are two of the things that are coming up from the students, I mean, they might not be saying it in these terms, but ideas related to equity and their success, whether that is their retention at the institution and all these big buzzwords that we talk about, but is that coming through in what you're hearing from students?
Yes, and we're trying to understand retention also. And retention is a word we use at colleges, but what it really means is a student who comes, who rearranges things, who finds the financing for their education, might have childcare needs, elder care, all kinds of things, a work life and a work schedule that needs to be rearranged. They come here, and then a retention rate really speaks to how many of those students are still with us a year after they begin. So they begin in the fall traditionally. Are they still with us the next fall? Are they still on track towards their goals? So, I don't necessarily hear some of the words that we use as college administrators, but I hear concerns about how will I continue in college if I've lost my 2 part-time jobs? How will I continue if the daycare center is closed? I'm experiencing some things with my thinking, and I might need some mental health services. Can you help us with that? So COVID and what we're hearing because of COVID and this moment that we're in is leading us to rethink services that we offer, to put more resources or reallocate resources into some areas and really serve students through that equity lens. I love that you use that word. Equity is not the same as equality. There's a great example of, it's a picture, and it shows a very small person, a medium-sized person, and a very large person. And each one is getting handed the same bicycle to ride to reach the end goal. And the very little person can't get up on that bicycle. The medium-sized person does really well with that bicycle. The very big person is struggling because the bicycle's too small. So equity means we see every student, every community member as an individual. And we look for customized solutions for each person to help them achieve their goals. It's a simple concept. We tend to complicate it a little bit, but put in the lens of equity. Think about each person that you're working with as an individual, what their individual needs are. Are they services? Are they more financial help? And it's just the way forward to ensure that students are reaching their goals, graduating, transferring, starting meaningful careers.
Let's talk about that through the lens of the world that we are now in, the pandemic and eventually, hopefully, the post-pandemic world. There's research out there, and it's been reflected in community college enrollment throughout the country, down 10% nationally over the fall semester, and the spring is looking even worse. The research is talking about a potential lost generation of college students where, when you talk about equity, this is going to disproportionately affect those who can least afford it. How does Bergen and how does higher education look to plug those gaps as we move into this hopefully post-pandemic world?
The community colleges are going to continue to play a very central role in post-COVID, life. We are going to partner with the County of Bergen for economic revitalization pathways.
You've talked about some of the challenges that higher education is faced with, right? Here at home, Bergen Community College, what are the challenges that we're facing right now?
So, Bergen is seeing, we can't model our enrollment the way that we've been doing in the past. Right now, typically when there's a crisis, and it's an economic crisis, for example, you'll see people flocking to the community college. Right now, our models aren't working. Our projections are challenged because a lot of people are staying home. They're taking a gap. They're pausing. My invitation to community members, move forward with your education. There's no better way to be able to move forward with your finances, to support your family, to support yourself, than to earn credentials, meaningful employment, move forward in the career path that you already have. Come to the community college. We are open. much of our education and our services are virtual. They are excellent. We are offering even more support services than we had on ground. My message is don't wait, don't create a gap. Let's keep moving together towards your success.
And finances, which are probably for most students the most pressing issue, there are opportunities, whether it's the Community College Opportunity Grant or CARES Act funds, other things that the college is doing. Talk about that.
Larry, that's really, really important, and I hope people are hearing this message. We have CARES funding. We just recently received stimulus funding. If you have a gap between financial aid and the cost of tuition, we can help you directly with that. Please do not have, your thoughts about not being able to afford college keep you from moving forward. We can help you with that.
So, has anything, you've been out at the campus now for about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you had a little preview there in December, you walked the grounds. Has anything surprised you about this institution, surprised you about its students, its faculty, its staff, its community? Even though Hudson is just 20 miles away, it might as well be worlds away, right?
That's true. They're different counties, they're different community colleges. I think I expected the level of dedication from staff and faculty, but it's exceeding my expectations. So many people that I've heard from are going above and beyond to make sure that we are serving our students well. I think some of the surprises have come from students that I've met with and, their aspirations, the incredible paths that they're charting for themselves. We have a large number of students going on to Ivy League colleges, doing research already with university professors. We have students who are deeply engaged in community work. It's surprising, but not surprising. This is an incredible community. I'm leading, and I'm talking to the leadership team, and I'm talking publicly about leading with an ethic of care. And people care about the college. They care about the health and the vibrancy of the college. They care about the well-being of students. And that fits really well with how I lead, with an ethic of care.
So one more, business question before we get into Eric Friedman, the individual. We're standing at the entranceway to the under construction one-stop experience. For those that have been on campus before and maybe haven't been on campus since COVID and the pandemic, things have changed by leaps and bounds. What is the goal of this facility once it opens?
Larry, it's so great that we're filming right here. This is so symbolic of how the college is moving forward, and it's moving forward even physically with a student-centered approach. This is a centralization of all the services students need when they're coming in: bursar, registrar, financial aid, advising, counseling. This brings everybody together, and in the center are the students, and we have workstations for the students in the middle. So even in its plan and design, this speaks to the mission of the community college. This is a beautiful thing. It really is. And the vision of those who came before me working at the college is really reflected in this just superb facility that is so student-centered.
Can't wait to cut the ribbon on it at some time when we have additional people on campus. Moving past sort of the operations of the institution and that kind of thing, Eric Friedman is an individual. Eric Friedman is a person. The presidency demands a lot of your time, nights and weekends and all of that, but there is a person in there besides the administrator and the college president. What are Eric Friedman's interests outside of just being the president of Bergen Community College?
I do a lot of things. I read voraciously. I'm a musician, a drummer, which is probably something that you might not have known. And I like to, I like to get different people together and we play together. It's a wonderful thing. I also am a volunteer submissions editor for a literary journal. So I like to help aspiring writers and read their work and give them feedback. You know, and I love to be outdoors in nature. I love walking. COVID has brought so many people out to be walkers, so I get to see neighbors and friends out walking. Lots of things, you know, besides, I know work takes a lot of time, but a lot of interests and a lot of things that I do to just be, you know, just to be.
So let's do like a lightning round here. You know, I'll ask you your favorite something, and you can tell me what it is.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Favorite books?
Favorite books? Wow, there's so many. I guess my favorite book this year was Deacon King Kong by James McBride. Really, really fantastic. Going back a couple of decades before that, Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude. This could be a long question, so I'll stop with the books there.
Fair enough, fair enough. Now, you came out of the culinary world. Favorite food?
You know, I eat widely. But you could take me to an Indian restaurant. You could take me to a kosher deli. You could take me to a rib joint. I mean, there's one thing I'm not going to eat, though. You may not believe this. I've never had one. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
How about that? How'd you survive kindergarten? I don't know. My son lived on it. But
I don't know. A lot of pizza.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. How about for our teaching faculty out there, as a student, Eric Friedman, the student, what was your favorite high school class, favorite college class?
Wow, my favorite high school class, I'd have to say, was an English class in 11th grade. And I remember we were reading Wuthering Heights, I think it was, and the teacher was just so invested in reading to us from this book, and we were so into it. I've remembered his passion so clearly. At college, I remember taking a class. You ready for this title?
I'm ready.
Modernism and the Alienation of Form.
I don't think we offer that.
Yeah, well, it was really about the modern world and how it's so different from earlier ways of thinking and earlier systems of organizing social life. But again, it was the passion of the professor that just made such a difference for me.
I think John Cusack in High Fidelity says something like books, films, music, these things matter. So I'm going to hit those last two. Favorite movie?
Oh, wow. These are hard because, you know, there's not one favorite, but I think Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump, okay.
I think Forrest Gump, you know, he's the underdog and he keeps pushing forward. He's got unbelievable grit. And I think that's probably my favorite. I love Casablanca and some oldies in there, but I think Forrest Gump is
Did you ever read the book? Because I know it was based on a book.
Forrest Gump?
Yes.
No, I didn't read the book.
Yeah, and there was actually a sequel too, which has a tragic end, but I'll let you guys figure that out for your own. Music, so favorite musician, last of the lightning round.
Oh, wow. I could listen to Miles Davis Blue. I could listen to Joni Mitchell's Blue. That doesn't mean I'm a blue person, but these are masterpiece works. My sons have really brought a lot of new music to me. Bands like Spoon and Arcade Fire. And so, you know, we used to think that classic rock music was the music, but there's a lot of great music being put out today, too.
Well, you know, you kind of feel old when you talk about classic rock, because what is classic rock? You talk about music from the 1960s, but now we're starting to hear Metallica and Nirvana and Pearl Jam on classic rock, and that wasn't all that long ago. It's making me feel old, too. So tell us one thing that would not have come up either in this interview, in the interview process for you as president, something that's sort of out of the box about Eric Friedman.
Out of the box. So you were asking about food before. I was a chef years ago out in Denver, Colorado. I was a chef of a Mexican restaurant. And, you know, it was an incredible experience. I participated in a chili cook-off in the middle of Denver, Colorado, in a public square. And we all fired up our little stoves at the same time, and that smell of onions, the sound of the onions hitting the bottom of the pots and pans. You might not know that about me.
No, I had no idea. But as we bring this to a close now, We've sort of learned about Dr. Friedman, the scholar and the intellect, Dr. Friedman, the accomplished community college leader, and Dr. Friedman, the person. Final question, what is the message that you want to convey to the Bergen Community College community right now from the President's desk?
Well, firstly, that we are here, that we are open, although many of our services are virtual, but we are here to serve you and to have the programs, the courses, and the opportunities that you need to move forward and to improve your quality of life. Secondly, I want everybody to know that I'm working with a big team here, and my phrase that I keep talking to them about is continuous improvement. I want them to be looking at their areas, continuously improving what we do to serve our community, to serve our students, and to do even better what it is that we're already doing. I mean, you asked me about coming here. I really want to reach the next level of greatness for Bergen Community College, to just keep moving forward and to bring the community members up and forward.
As we all do, Dr. Friedman, and I think we can all say that we are glad that you are here and that you are going to lead us from good to great, as they say, right? So thank you, Dr. Friedman. We'll see you again down the road for sure. That's a wrap for this month's episode of Studio Bergen. Now, it might be a little bit of another hiatus before we bring you another episode, but we'll see what happens with the pandemic. Please, from me to you, please be safe. Please be healthy. Follow those protocols. Keep wearing your masks. We will get through this. And as Dr. Friedman said, Bergen is open for business, and we want you to come down to our campus in a virtual sense. Of course, we are still in a very empty institution. From me to you, please be safe, be healthy. I'm Dr. Larry Hlavenka. Thanks, and take care.